Well, guys, it's finally here, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare reveal trailer. I just saw it, and I also watched Drifter's video where he discussed a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that he saw at Infinity Ward's offices during one of the Call of Duty press events. I wanted to do this video originally, and I've already recorded it once where I was talking about, oh my god, the graphics, oh my god, the details, oh my god, this and that. But having watched Drifter's video on just how intensely violent this game is, and I don't mean violent in like a Doom or a Mortal Kombat way, I mean violent in a very true to life way, in that things that are depicted in this game reach that next level of is this okay to put into a video game? Does this cross from being entertainment to something that's a little bit more like, I don't even have a word for it. You know, I personally, of course, am of the belief that art is art and it shouldn't be moderated, it shouldn't be censored. But I can understand too, there's going to be a lot of concern about this game, especially having heard what Drifter has to say about it. We're talking bombings, we're talking children possibly being dead, really intense bad things, you know, even civilians being shot. And apparently Drifter said this game is so hardcore it makes the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2 look like a Pixar movie. That line made me laugh, but having heard what he has to say in his video, which I highly advise you go watch, I can kind of see where he's coming from. Now, personally, I think this game does look fantastic. I think Modern Warfare has changed, you know, the act of warfare in the modern times since the original Modern Warfare has released. The rules of engagement have changed. The way war works is totally different now. However, I think this game does a pretty good job, at least from what we're seeing so far, of highlighting the horrors of war, which has actually always been what Call of Duty has done. If you remember back in the day, Call of Duty 2, the original Modern Warfare, every time you died, you were getting these quotes about how war is bad and how men need to do better and how peace should prevail in everything. And I always found that very interesting because it's a sharp dichotomy or a contrast between what the fun shooty video game is and the real life consequences of violence. And I think this game is trying to show us that line and really hit it home that, you know, this is what war is. It's not fun, it's not pretty, and really it's trying to probably be an anti-war message. And I'm totally okay with this, and I personally believe that this is the kind of game that we need, that the Call of Duty community deserves. I've felt that every game has really been a copy-paste job since the original Modern Warfare. And while they've been fun games and very bombastic and Michael Bay-esque, and with fun multiplayer, by the way, but I think this game is going to be the first time a Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 1 has been a true Call of Duty game in the sense of it presenting us with a message and a theme and a strong narrative, as well as having really pristine combat gameplay in it. Now, we haven't seen gameplay, but from what I'm seeing, I believe there's going to be leaning in the game. It's probably going to be a lot more tactical. Drifter mentioned in his video that the enemies that you take out in this game don't just kind of take bullets, get shot, and go blah, and then fall on the ground and die instantly. However, in this game, they're going to be actually more real to life. So when you shoot somebody, they kind of keel over, collapse on the floor, cough up blood, choke on their own blood, you know, try to reach for their handguns, try to commit suicide by grenade, try to do all these sort of things that people might do if they're in shock from being, you know, shot at and hit and bleeding out. And I found that extremely interesting. And also this game is highlighting a lot of sort of Spec Ops The Lines kind of concepts of what is right and what is wrong. And one example he was giving in his video is how a civilian in an apartment complex that you're clearing out, or what appears to be a civilian, says that she has to reach for something, and you tell her, no, don't go by that bag, we need you to put your hands behind your head and we're, you know, gonna deal with you from then on. And apparently she reaches for something, and instead of letting her reach it, you just take her out. and it turns out she was reaching for a detonator to blow up the entire building. So, you know, hindsight's 2020 and all of that, it was a good call. However, what if you made the wrong call? You know, what if that wasn't just, you know, what if that was just a civilian? And I think that is the modern warfare equivalent of the horror of conflict, the horror of war. And I think this game is nailing that theme and that message. And it's nailing it so well that, honestly, I'm sure some countries are going to ban this game and not be okay with it. Now, if you guys follow this channel, you know I'm a big fan for the new game Ready or Not, because it's a follow-up or a successor to SWAT 4, and it's kind of going for a lot of those same themes. And I was thinking at the time, you know, this game is really hardcore. It's got a lot of, like, references to human trafficking and drug use and all this stuff that's insane and violent and not pretty. But it almost seems like Modern Warfare is going for an even more intense version of that even, which is kind of crazy to me, especially because if you look at Activision, look at Call of Duty, they've always been about making the most money that they can and replicating success. And this really feels like the first time that they're taking a risk with Call of Duty. This could pay off in a big way. This could revitalize the entirety of the series and the franchise, or it could sink Call of Duty, and that's what's so exciting about it for me, honestly, and this is what makes me want to cover this game. I was going to cover it before anyway, but now I'm way more interested than I ever would have been otherwise. And everything about the game, on top of just the central themes, looks great too. Like I said earlier, the mechanics look like they're being improved upon. It's not just going to be, you know, move cover to cover, shoot enemies as they pop up and spawn infinitely out of closets or whatever. This, I mean, I could be wrong, that could be what this is too, but from everything we're hearing and everything we're seeing, it doesn't seem that way at all. It seems like the kind of game where you go into a building, you clear out the building, there's a predetermined amount of baddies in it, maybe they spawn randomly, maybe they don't, but from what I understand, it's going to be not cinematic necessarily, but it's going to be more predetermined, so it's, I don't know, it's confusing. I don't have a lot of details on this yet. I wish I did. I'll let you know as soon as I can. And do feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to hear more about the new Modern Warfare and my takes on it, because no offense to every other Call of Duty YouTuber out there, but I think my opinions on this game are different enough to warrant being heard, just because I think I come from more of a tactical shooter background, so this kind of thing is a lot more into my niche. And I love the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare and a lot of the other Call of Duty since then, but they're very arcadey, very Quake-like, and that's fine. But this is definitely more in my wheelhouse, and that's my humble brag of the day, I guess. I think everybody deserves to get one of those a day. But enough ego stroking. Let's talk about this game some more. I'm actually very interested by one thing, and that is, what engine is this running on? Because a lot of it looks like Insurgency Sandstorm to me, not just thematically, but like the way that materials look. It looks almost like an Unreal Engine 4 game. However, I do know that it also looks a lot like Modern Warfare Remastered, which makes me think that it might be their in-house engine, whatever they made Modern Warfare Remastered on. Maybe it's a new engine, I'm really not sure, and sometimes these games look a lot better in the trailers than they actually turn out once they're on the console and PC, so I guess time will tell on that, but I'm very interested in seeing which tech they went with for this game. The model detail is astounding, the particle effects from what I've seen are astoundingly good. Everything about this is good, I just hope that the sound effects are just as good as the visuals, then we'll have a complete package there, and that is great. Also, one thing I found very interesting is Captain Price, while he does make a return in this game, I don't believe he is being played by his original voice actor. I think, I don't have any confirmation on this, but I believe the new guy who is voicing Captain Price and acting and modeling for Captain Price is Carlo Rota, or Rada. I don't know how you say that name, honestly. I feel bad, I should know this. But he was the main villain in Splinter Cell Blacklist. So, if you remember Majid Sadiq in Blacklist, that's the same guy. So if you look at Captain Price's face closely, you might actually see the similarities and see where I'm coming from. Again, none of this is confirmed yet, but that looks a lot like him, so I think it's him, and if it is, that's great because this guy is a great actor and everything. Now, I will miss the original voice and actor for Captain Price, obviously. He did an amazing job. I don't know his name, I need to look that up right now. I hope he's not dead. Jeez, I should have looked this up before recording the video. But yeah, his voice is very iconic and very memorable, and it is a shame to see him not be here. But at the same time, I think a new take on Captain Price is welcome, and it's probably a good thing. Now, the guys at Infinity Ward said that this game is not a reboot of the original Modern Warfare trilogy because, you know, a reboot implies that the previous trilogy was bad and that it needs an update, you know? This game is more like a relaunch or reimagining of the series. Just like I said earlier, Modern Warfare itself has changed since the original game came out, so the idea of this game is to recapture that in a different light and kind of update the theme of Modern Warfare, and I think that's very awesome and really just genuinely a cool idea from the developers. Now, we have no actual gameplay or multiplayer announcements or cooperative announcements. However, of course, I love me some PvE, so if we get any kind of co-op news for this game, I'm going to be very excited. If it's anything like a Tango Hunt mode, a Horde mode, or maybe anything that's good in PvE tactical games, that would be intense. Heck, even the return of that survival mode for Modern Warfare 3 would be welcome. I think a Spec Ops thing, 2-player Spec Ops would be cool. Actually, if we just got all of that, I would be very happy. But then again, I think with the attention to detail and the upping of the ante of the campaign, maybe that would be spreading their resources a little bit too thin. So I wouldn't honestly anticipate any kind of cooperative news. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying, let's be realistic, it's probably not happening. Now, of course, multiplayer is happening. We don't have much news on it, but there is a lot of rumors. So one of the rumors I've been hearing is that the multiplayer will be free to play and cross-platform, which obviously is probably the best way for Activision to make a lot of money in a way, because if it's a free-to-play multiplayer, that means everybody can get it, everybody can access it, and everybody can pay for microtransactions, which are inevitable because it's Activision. So, I mean, I'm okay with the fact that there's microtransactions. I haven't been a big fan of how they've implemented them into previous Call of Duties, especially Modern Warfare Remastered. I think that kind of ruined the game for me in a lot of ways. But regardless, I'm very curious to see how the multiplayer does turn out, just from a core gameplay perspective. I don't know if I'll be playing it that much, but I am very interested to see it nonetheless, and I will be talking about it in any future updates that I see or hear about. And again, if you liked the video, hit subscribe. I'll be talking a lot about this game in the future. It wasn't originally on my radar as hardcore as it is now. I'm very excited to see where Modern Warfare goes and just how intense it gets, and I'm very, very curious to see how bad the backlash is, because this will be probably a monumental time for video games when you have one of the biggest franchises on the planet for gaming doing something this hardcore. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this new fresh take on the Modern Warfare series down in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay frosty out there.